Welcome everybody. My name is Rich Isola and I had the distinct pleasure of being the KPMG engagement leader working alongside Wendy's on their HR transformation. We thought we'd get things started with a little audience participation. So we have a theory, there's two types of people in this world. Those that enjoy their Wendy's Frosty by dipping a French fry, and those that enjoy their Wendy's Frosty straight up with a spoon. So quick show of hands, those that enjoy their Wendy's Frosty with the French fry? Very good. Those with a spoon? Right on. Well, the survey says actually, if you Google that, and don't do it now, 47% of American families enjoy their Wendy's Frosty with a French fry. Must be something about the sweet and sour taste. So with that, let's get into the content. You probably signed up and are expecting to hear lots of cool technology supporting data conversion and integrations that made this project success, or leading HR practices, payroll practices, and all those things were just critical to the success of this program. But we're here to talk about something a little bit different that was just at the core of this program. And those of you that attended Chris Leone's keynote will know that Wendy's won one of the Excellence Awards this year for People First. And it was truly those people that sat at the core of this project that made a difference. In fact, I'm reminded of a Peter Drucker quote that you will have heard before, and it goes, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." And I tell you, all of the crazy deadlines we set for ourselves, challenges we overcame, really came down to those two things working in perfect harmony, the people and the culture. So I'm super excited for you to hear this story today. It's a program that's going to live long in my memory for all the right reasons. Now, with any story, there's going to be a cast of characters that help deliver that program. And we've got a number of those folks from Wendy's here to share their story with you. We are going to spread this talk into two parts. We're going to have a TED Talk style presentation followed by a fireside chat. And the fireside chat's going to be led by my colleague from KPMG, Tricia Hastings, and she's going to be joined by Melanie Trudell, who was the Wendy's HR leader, and Steve Troth, who was the finance and payroll leader. But I must tell you that if there was one central character in this story, that was Stephanie Shaw. And Steph was just fundamental to the success of this program, and we're so thrilled to have her here to share some of her experiences as we move forward. So with that, I'm going to welcome Steph to the stage.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks for the great introduction, Rich. You've got me hungry because it's snack time, and so I kind of want to get a Frosty and some fries, but I'll have to wait till after this session to do that. Thank you, audience, for taking the time to come to our session today. My name's Stephanie Shaw, and I am Vice President of Enterprise Technology at the Wendy's Company. The same thing that brought me to Wendy's is the same thing that keeps me at Wendy's, and it's the people and our commitment to ensuring that Wendy's is a great place to work and that we're creating great customer experiences for not just our customers, but our franchisees, as well as our employees and the business partners that we're supporting. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to take some time to walk you through the journey we took with KPMG as our partner through our HR transformation. I'm going to share some successes, some outcomes, and some opportunities throughout the journey. But in the end, I really want to make sure that you're leaving with some messages on how you can use some of the tips and learnings that we have to help you on your journey as you proceed forward. To give you a little background on Wendy's, Wendy's was started in 1969 by Dave Thomas. And when Dave started Wendy's, he established 5 core values. And those values still hold true today and are executed in everything we do. Wendy's is a complex B2B and B2C company. And in the work I do, running corporate business, run the business technology, it's important that I'm not just thinking about the in-restaurant and digital customer experience, but that I'm first stepping back to ensure that our employees have great systems and tools to use to do their jobs, that our my business partners have the capability they need to be able to provide strategic thought leadership to their stakeholders to execute on strategy. I also have a big customer base in our franchisees because we have to make it easy for them to want to do business with us and to want them to continue to grow their portfolio with Wendy's so that we can bring more Wendy's to more of our Wendy's fans. So let's take a step back in the Wayback Machine, and let me give you kind of set the table of where we were in our environment at Wendy's back in 2022. Now, be forewarned, I'm gonna put some of our business in the street, but this is Vegas, and we all know that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I'm sure a couple of hundred of my friends, my new friends, will be able to share and keep some of the stories I'm about to tell in this room. However, I eerily think that many of you are going through some of the same things and experiencing the same challenges we were. So, challenges. It was just frankly hard to do anything with our systems. We had a significant environment full of tech debt, end of life, end of support, not just on our application footprint that was on third-party support, but also just in our core infrastructure. We had an immense amount of risk that needed to be remediated, and given that we're a publicly traded company and wanting to be able to ensure that we can do things on time and support the business in growing and other initiatives, strategic initiatives, it was important to make sure that we made that shift to the cloud. Also, when you think about just generally consumer experiences and technology, there is so much rich technology at our fingertips. And so while our consumer-facing side is at the forefront with some great innovation in AI out there in our drive-through ordering capability, it's equally important that the same folks who are our customers, that are also our employees, have equally great experiences that allow them to work from anywhere using any device so that they can do their day-to-day jobs. Finally, the lack of clean, quality data, it was just pervasive across our environment. And when you start to compound all of that and you think about how much waste was existing in our current day-to-day processes, it doesn't really create a great environment that you as an employee want to work in. So why not take the opportunity to change that and advance that? At Wendy's, we strive to make sure that Wendy's is a great place to work. And our Chief People Officer has a phrase that he uses that I love about making sure that Wendy's should be a place that you start, that you spend, and that you grow your career. And in that spirit, while you heard me share feedback around why we went on this journey, it stuck with me that even though we are replacing technology, and that this is a business transformation, and you'll hear more about that later, but of all the things that I was most excited about getting out of our new system was being able to have access to talent management capability. Because in my mind, that's table stakes for ensuring you're curating a life cycle for your employees that's going to allow them to be developed in the right way and really prepare them for the next challenge, the next opportunity that may exist. When I spend time in our restaurants and I'm able to engage with our GMs or our crew members, what strikes me is a couple of things. One, folks who have given their entire lives, not just careers, like lives, folks with 30 years of service, 35, 40, 45 years of service, harnessing the talent that they have and the number of moments and experiences they've created. How can I take that and be able to help my business partners think about, hey, in succession planning and talent and org, how can I think about folks who are ready now to help go open a new market? Or, hey, I know 5 years from now, I'm going to radically change my business model, and who will be ready, and what experiences do I need to move them through? Equally, on another example, we've got interns who have spent their summers learning about our business and who have gone on to become employees and who are leading some really great work at Wendy's. So workforce planning is my biggest win coming out of this. As we embarked on our journey, we had first implemented finance. So we implemented Oracle Fusion, ERP, as well as EPM. And we ended that project and moved right on into mobilizing HCM. And the scope of HCM was, of course, core HCM. We also had payroll services as a part of that, and then talent, compensation, and some other key capability. As we were on our RFP journey, there were a couple of lessons learned that we took away from that experience. One, we were sure that we wanted to have a data-driven approach to implementation. Many of you who are probably in your implementation cycle are learning that replacing your HCM system is super complex. Just the sheer number of integrations, data quality, the PII engaged, like it's super complex to move through. So we wanted to make sure we knew where we stood on a project with every work stream, every task detail with precision. We also wanted to make sure that we had a partner who had strong thought leadership. And in KPMG, we found that. We also were struck as a Wendy's team as we moved through the process with how collaborative and just friendly and just super engaging that KPMG was as we moved through the process. I mean, we would be in sessions and it felt like they were a natural extension to our team. And they were well knowledged on Oracle, thoroughly knowledged on the product and implementation. So that thrilled us to be able to partner with them on our HCM journey. And then finally, of course, all of that came with the right tools and capabilities. So as we started our journey, there were several things that were pivotal as we moved through it. You heard a little bit about the framework and tools that KPMG brought forward. But one of the big unlocks was leadership and governance. We had a very strong, disciplined, 3-tier governance structure, and you'll hear a little bit more about that later. But essentially, we led this project from what I call affectionately the big three, our CFO, CIO, and CPO. This was a business project, so the CPO was leading, and his team were leading at the front, with strong partnership from the CFO and, of course, technology, ensuring that the solution was sound. We used this governance to be able to make sure that we were actioning decisions at the right level. RACI is super important. Creating an environment that I called the 3-legged stool of Wendy's, Oracle, and KPMG was critical to ensuring we had laser alignment as we moved through our program. We also love the governance model and the RACI because it allowed us to really push decision-making down to the right levels of the organization. So our PMO level, where all the work stream leads were, where the folks who are in the system day to day, accountable at the tactical level, ensuring that they were making decisions for key design decisions that they felt empowered by, that they could stand by, that gave them energy and value about continuing on this long and complex journey. And then there was parallel testing. Parallel testing was actually pretty amazing. But before I go there, let me just back up. Security roles within HCM in the cloud are extremely different, at least they were for us. Learning that model, understanding choices we had, understand not just choices we had, but like, wow, we've got more options than what we thought to be able to think differently about role-based security. KPMG brought some fantastic leadership that took time to sit side by side and give us options and just walk us through some of that decisioning. And change management was game-changing for us. As an organization, we knew change management was an opportunity for us to improve and, frankly, build some capability that we could carry on long after this program ended. KPMG was quick to assess our environment and say, hey, we really think that we could be a great partner for you and bring you some resources to help make your program successful. And at the end of the day, this was true. But back to parallel testing. In my prior Wendy's life, I actually was an implementation consultant. I spent my pre-Wendy's career implementing ERP, EPM, and HCM, and payroll was my bread and butter. But let me tell you something, as we moved through parallel testing on payroll, I would be in our steering meetings just poking around, trying to ask questions. Can we add scope? Can we? Nope, nope, nope. Super controlled environment, super meticulous reconciliation capabilities on the side of KPMG. And when it came to hearing the outcomes of each test iteration and hearing our actual results versus our exit criteria, we were blowing them away parallel by parallel by parallel. And along the journey, we even had our Oracle HCM transformation team alongside the journey, and they were coming to the table like, you guys are doing great. But we all know that every decision made within an HCM implementation, all those choices show up in payroll, in net pay. And so you can imagine hearing outstanding results on our parallel testing, how much confidence that gave the team to keep moving forward to our deadline, and also how much confidence in partnership we got from KPMG in their disciplined approach. I want to take a couple of minutes just to talk about what it means to truly have direct and transparent collaboration. These programs are not for the weak. And being able to have fully transparent conversations, our CFO likes to call it affectionately healthy tension conversations, where you're able to create an opportunity for shared dialogue, to create shared learning, to ensure that you are taking decisions that will impact your program in the most optimal way possible, so that you're able to, of course, move forward swiftly and deliver as close to the requirement as what you were originally intentioning. But some of these conversations that we had were tough, like getting the feedback that we knew we had opportunities in change management, or when we had to think about resources and how we had them allocated to different work streams or different leadership capabilities. Ooh, yeah, yep, we know. And vice versa. If we needed some help in a different area, KPMG was right there to pivot and be agile in how they thought about bringing capability to our implementation. And let me not forget, for folks who are heads down, super task-oriented and wanting to get work done, you have to take time to make sure that you're not just collaborating and getting and moving milestones out the way, but that most importantly, you're celebrating. Because for your teams, implementing a big program like this, unless you're a career practitioner, is a once-in-career activity. And with the capabilities that exist in Cloud Fusion, it's probably a once-in-a-company experience at this point, because you'll be able to continuously absorb releases with that relationship. As I think about some of the lessons learned that we had on this program, one thing is true for sure. Your business is going to keep on rolling. You may love your HCM project, but your business, frankly, won't care. They want to go on and open new markets, launch new products, launch new services. They want to go ahead and reorg massively, and they're going to expect you to stop what you're doing and participate. Well, in these situations, particularly when you've got growth and profitability on the line, the answer can't be no. And so sometimes you're going to have to think about how you make choices and create alignment on how you're going to move forward while supporting the business, as well as ensuring that you keep your project moving at the right pace. So this is why it's important that you have the right people for the program on your project. And key that the people who start the project assuredly are not going to be the ones that finish the project, because we all know life happens and opportunities come and go. Also, capability in folks in your team is going to evolve and change. And so folks who may be great at one aspect, you might need to bring in another strength, one of your bench players to come take it across the finish line. You also have to make sure you're overcoming issues together. So that's a Wendy's, that's an Oracle, that's a KPMG. I talked about our business keeping on rolling. There was a point in our program where we actually had a slowdown, and we put the project on hold for essentially 3 months. And that's because we decided to acquire about 100 company restaurants from a franchisee. That's massive work. And so we partnered with KPMG and Oracle to arrive at what are some options and how could we consider opportunities to staff the project, slowing it down, but allowing some work to continue forward. And we were successful at that. And our senior leaders created alignment, and we were able to onboard those 100 restaurants. So being flexible and agile, super important. And finally, I would offer, be confident and commit to your deadlines. So we have strong governance. We've got a team who is energized with the empowerment they have to own their destiny and take decisions. We've got governance that is blocking and tackling and mitigating risk to the project and protecting the team relentlessly. And so as we approached some options we had for implementation, given we had gone through a reorg, we ended up in the space of, well, we could go live at the end of Q3. And I can remember having this conversation multiple times. KPMG was like, whoa, we don't recommend that. Oracle is like, that's not really when we see people go live. Why? Because you're going live and then you turn around and you're at open enrollment, you're at year end, and then like all of the like party of performance cycles and the whole bit start happening. So it's a tremendous amount of work that occurs when you go live at the end of Q3. But we did. And we did it because our team pushed us and said, we got this. And frankly, our team was tired. And they didn't want to work. They didn't want to push another quarter. They didn't want to like do another set of testing. But they were tired. And I think they were more excited about being able to bring relief to the blockers and the significant gaps in productivity that we weren't able to take advantage of. I wouldn't have changed a thing with how the program ran. It just created a lot of learnings and a lot of opportunities to solve problems in such a magnificent way. So we are now live for almost a year. This is our go live month, so I'm super proud of our team. And when you think about what we've been able to advance in this 18-month-ish timeline for our HR and payroll transformation, our crew members, well, all employees have self-service now, which is something that they did not before. Also, our employees are spending less time on manual tasks. Lots of feedback from people leaders about, I can see my team. Oh my gosh, being able to do my performance planning and goal setting in a system, this is great. Before, I was like 5 different Word documents all over the place. And from a tech perspective, I know I am sleeping great at night because I am not up doing the 24-hour calls because we have a P2 because something's wrong with our infrastructure. It's really been a great experience, and that all translates to great experiences for our customers. So throughout this program, you've heard me share that we've been able to replace multiple legacy systems and processes. We've got employee self-service now. We have deployed the solution to over 400 company restaurants, which translates to about 15,000 employees. And again, because we shifted our business processes to Oracle Fusion's standardized commodity features, we were able to take advantage of those and haven't seen issues. It works. So we ran our first payroll the first week of October last year, and we were able to successfully pay about 14,000 employees, and that was the target population to pay, so there were no issues. But even bigger is that we also closed Q3 from the financial books perspective. And let me tell you something, when you're someone who's responsible for financial systems and people systems, and you've got to make sure that your finance team is able to report earnings out to the street, like it's super important to make sure you don't skip a beat. That was not negotiable with our CFO. We also have an improved HR experience. So now there's significantly less time from our HR partners answering tactical questions, more time for them to be able to become more strategic. And of course, all of this means we are leaning into quality customer service. So of course, we've been live for a year. We went through our hypercare period after we went live. That was about a 4 to 6 week period. And then we went into a series of first-time processes for us. So, of course, year end. And then we have a monthly bonus plan for our restaurant teams. Oh, and then we have our annual bonus plan we had to move through. There was annual merit. And then there was also talent and org, and then all the things. So for us, going live doesn't just mean I'm paying people, and foundationally, I'm able to move our employees through natural transactions in the system. There's also some pretty big areas of capability that you're going to begin releasing the next subsequent 6 to 9 months after that. And so now we've turned the page and we are moving into optimization. And optimization, it's a pretty exciting time and place to be in because it allows us to continuously evolve our RACI and who does what in our operating model, but also to begin exploring new capability. I have to thank KPMG for not just being our partner through this journey, but bringing a lot of thought leadership to us as well. Our teams were able to have multiple opportunities to spend time at their lake house experience in Orlando. And that is really an amazing experience to be able to lean into insights, participate in things like hackathons, be able to hear from thought leaders from IDC who are bringing us industry-leading trends from the World Economic Forum. And frankly, as a leader, for me to push myself to continuously learn and think about much bigger things so I can partner with my business partners to help them achieve their dreams for Wendy's. So if we look back, I'm proud that we did it. And in KPMG, we have a trusted partner we can rely on. We have trust in our foundational data right now, and we are continuing to learn more and more every day about what that means and what we should be doing with it. And we are delivering exceptional experiences. And I could not have done that without the amazing support of KPMG and Oracle. So with that, on behalf of the Wendy's Company, I want to thank KPMG immensely for all of the support that you've given us. I also want to thank Oracle for all of the great opportunities we've had many years at CloudWorld, but in particularly this year in how we're represented so well in some of the digital signage and in promotions on the floor. And Rich, I want to give you a huge thanks. You are an OG. And to know me, that means you're somebody who I would call ride or die, meaning if it was a middle of the night phone call and really only like my best friends are in that camp, like you would be on the call list. Your partnership and how you helped us deliver this and created common ground across, I'll never forget that. Thank you.
Well done. Good job. Thank you. Well, hey, everybody, I've heard that story many times, and I can just say that it's inspiring to hear it every time. And thank you to Steph and Wendy's on behalf of KPMG and Oracle for having us be a part of that. You saw a glimpse into what makes Steph tick, and I can tell you from working alongside her for a couple years, she's an incredible thought leader, intense manager, people-first person, partner to KPMG and Oracle. So thank you for being here, Steph, for sharing your thoughts. Now, as great as Steph is, she couldn't have done this project alone. So, of course, we had a large team of passionate, capable individuals that were part of this project. And like I said before, we're lucky enough to have a number of them here today. So I'd like to welcome the Fireside Chat team to the stage. And as I mentioned before, Tricia Hastings will facilitate. She's my colleague from KPMG. We have Steve Troth, who is the payroll and finance leader, and Melanie Trudell, who is the Wendy's HR leader. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Rich and Steph. You're quite the tough act to follow. Mel and Steve, we've got our work cut out for us. So where do we begin? You know, projects of this size, scale, just a lot of complexity. So let's dive into one of the more complex areas that Steph mentioned earlier, payroll parallel testing. Steve, will you share a little bit about your experience and the journey the team took as it related to payroll parallel?
Sure, and if I wasn't anxious before, I'm realizing quickly that I'm the worst dressed person that was on this stage today, so I apologize for that. But yeah, parallel payroll, right? So payroll is something you don't want to screw up, right? And we knew that early. Obviously, it's something that we want to get right. Mel and I have 3 to 4 years invested in these Oracle implementation projects. We want to look good. And people that are not engaged in the project really gauge the success of the project on how well payroll does, right? Yeah. So we didn't want to, even if it's 5 cents, you know, payroll people out there, you're going to get a phone call of a 5-cent difference on your paycheck. So wanted to get it right. Tricia calmed me down, said, hey, we've got the tools, we've got the team. We also have a fantastic payroll team led by Kaylee Ramos, who's out there, who did a session earlier today. So great payroll team, and then we had a great KPMG partnership as well, too. We brought in resources that have a lot of great experience, and they were technical and they were functional, too. Like, it's one thing to be technical and know the system and behind the scenes, but to actually tell us how we should use the system from a best practice standpoint, that's fantastic. The other thing is the approach, right? So if you guys have done parallel testing before, it's millions of lines of data, right? KPMG brought with them Excel-based tools that really allowed us to focus on the key variances and things that we were seeing so that we could then research those and understand why do we have that difference, because a lot of things were coded differently in the old system. We wanted to make sure the new system had the right things configured, right? So it allowed us to focus on those. The other key thing with that is proactive communication, right? So we were able to communicate early to employees and say, hey, you might see things a little different, and just basically your paycheck, your pay stub might look a little different because new system might have some new payroll elements that are named differently. So we want to be able to communicate that to people. And then if we did have some differences that we wanted to communicate, I got the specific employees and communicated to them, right? So what that allowed for then is a great and smooth go live, because of course we had some things that would pop up, but we didn't get as many questions as we thought we would because we prepared ahead of time and we proactively communicated, all based on the rigor that we put into the parallel testing.
Thanks, Steve. I have to agree. I've been leading and supporting HCM payroll implementations for many years, and I have to say this was one of the smoothest payroll go lives that I've seen, and really a testament to your team and their ability to embrace the technology and engage early on. Truly remarkable. As we think about, as we think about payroll and some of the assets you just mentioned, one of the great things I think was that your team partnered with us and really looked at us as a trusted advisor and let us take advantage of our proven powered assets and capabilities, and I feel like that really helps streamline and manage something that can otherwise be quite daunting, right? When we think about, like you said, millions of rows of reconciling payroll data. So again, just phenomenal. One thing, Steve, is at Wendy's, I know from a payroll perspective, it actually falls under finance. And so I know you manage many other things outside of HCM and payroll. What would you say was key as it relates to the successful integration between HCM and Oracle Cloud ERP and EPM?
Yeah, it felt like we did things a little differently by having finance live first. And again, it was another area, just like payroll, we didn't want to screw it up. I feel like most of my careers don't screw up, but it's a fun ride, I guess, when you do it.
Yeah.
But so definitely an area where we wanted to focus, because we were live at that point. I think we went through 2 year-end cycles on finance, so we didn't want to mess up anything that was in the system. And so what it really came down to was proactive identification of areas of overlap by working with the KPMG team and also with our current ERP support team as well, and the Wendy's team, getting everybody together. I think we identified maybe 20 or so key areas that we wanted to focus on and really dig into those areas and understand, once we went live with HCM, what would be the impact to the areas in finance. So think of things like shared tables, so like locations, banking, that sort of stuff. Chart of accounts were live already. Hierarchies, approval workflows. So if you're going to finance, you've got expense report workflows, you've got journal entry approval workflows, all of those types of things we had to consider. And we actually made it its own work stream, basically. We met weekly. We talked through all of those issues, resolved and researched and worked through those. And everybody really understood, like, how are we going to cut over? You know, somebody might not be able to submit an expense report for a week as we figure that out. But we figured it out. We had a plan. And again, it goes back to being proactive. I think one of those key highlights actually was in Kaylee's session today, because we already had our general ledger live. We were booking journal entries from running our pay run, and as if you guys saw her session, our payroll run has 750,000 individual lines in a journal entry. And when we first went live with the first pay run, we had less than, 5 lines of errors out of that 750,000. So that was a great, pleasant surprise. I was really nervous about that. Because we have a lot of complexity in our business with restaurants, borrowed employees going to other restaurants, restaurant hierarchy, but then also our corporate employees. So it's tough to cost that and really understand the complexity around it. But we did quite well with that. And like you said, it was a very smooth implementation. We had a war rooms. Mel was running around helping me and trying to figure out proactively before we did the pay run, who needs to do what, running audits. And I think it just was a great partnership all around with our HR team, payroll team, KPMG team.
Yeah, I agree. It really a testament, work done right at Wendy's. Just to see that first payroll to jail run be that successful was absolutely phenomenal. I think I went into that war room a few times and asked, do we have that right? Is that right? Yeah. Is that really right? So I was right there with Mel, but really, as critical as it is to paying employees on time and accurately, and of course payroll to GL, it was actually a very small part of an overall much larger transformation journey. Shifting gears a little bit here, Mel, do you want to talk a little bit about the overall transformation journey as it relates to HR, the employee experience, and improved ways of working?
Yeah, I'd love to, and I don't want to discount how important paying me correctly was, though.
You did some things.
You
did some things
there was
in the project.
a couple things.
It's fine.
I think Steph did a great job sort of sharing with you all the transformation we went through. I think from an employee experience perspective, she had mentioned self-service and bringing that to life for employees. It was funny, Steph mentioned that pause we took, and all I was thinking in the seat over there was, oh my gosh, that took so long, and the ability for us to execute similar type transformations now in leveraging Oracle and what we call work done right, it's just night and day. The administrative burden that we had and just reliance we had specifically on our HR partners and then also on the general managers that run restaurants, we've just given them different tools that has transformed what I would call that employee experience. And just put us in a position to meet the needs of the business in a much more efficient and effective way. So,
amazing.
It's a big change.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear how transformation with the Oracle Cloud, enablement of that, and just like you said, the impact for thousands of employees to have direct access to data using their devices. It's truly powerful, and it makes my role as a consultant just so rewarding to see those meaningful impacts come to life like that. So I've certainly been thrilled to be a part of it. I know we can talk about this project probably for hours, the three of us, of course. But I know with our time kind of coming to a close, thinking about final thoughts, key takeaways. Mel, can you share a little bit more about your, HR leadership role on this successful project, and then also what's next for Wendy's Oracle journey?
Yeah, I think, close to our 1-year anniversary, and feeling good about just building that strong foundation, right? So Steph mentioned data quality, and I've spent a good part of the last almost 12 months building trust in our data, so making sure we feel confident on what's coming out of the system and how we're using it. And then just letting the teams get comfortable with using the tool. I can sit here and say, we're impacting the business, but our frontline teams who are really working in the system, their confidence in impacting the business has been a really cool thing to watch over the last year. And moving out of true stabilization into kind of stabilization and really starting to think about innovation. We partnership with KPMG continues. We hung out with them at the Lake House this summer on the hackathon. Yeah. So testing out AI and seeing what's possible. And then even thinking about Redwood and the innovations that Oracle's bringing to the table. So we're looking forward to that as well. But how about you? I bet you have a thought on this.
I do. Thank you, Mel.
Oh, you bet.
So yeah, I think the teams, the confidence level and the excitement level is very high at this point because we've never really had everything all in the one system before. So that's exciting to us. That opens up a lot of capability to us. We went from going live with finance and stabilizing there, and then all of a sudden we throw in HCM. So we're kind of at that, again, stabilization type phase. But like Mel mentioned, innovation, we're starting to do that now. It's not so much break fixes or like things that we want to do better, like in terms of like, hey, I wanted something different, but now it's more like, okay, how can we do it better, right, in the system, and how can the system help like work for us and add value? So I think we're at that point, but as you guys probably know, there's a lot of opportunity, but that also means there's a laundry list of things that we all want to do to enhance the system. So that's where prioritization comes into play, and we have hundreds of items that we all want to do, but we all have to prioritize, and I think that's where our governance structure that we have in place, all of those things really help us to prioritize and do those things that will really help fuel growth and drive the business. So I'm really happy that we have continued that governance structure even outside of the project and to like our everyday life.
Yeah, great points. I have to say, you hit that nail on the head there. I think governance, right? I think we've all on this stage have sort of touched on it, but truly was the glue that held the program together. And we established a structure early on. We aligned, we committed to it, using KPMG-powered collaboration tools to mitigate risk throughout the project. And I think that was key. And then I'm excited to hear you kept that cadence and structure going beyond the project now, right, to help prioritize and really take advantage of all the Oracle Cloud new release feature function. Very exciting.
I love what you said. It's really just become a part of how we do business. And the connection that it gives our employees who are still working in these systems and learning to get better, building their confidence, they know because we're working with them, we're working through the process, we're working with the big three that you heard about. We're staying close to our business objectives, and we're bringing that back to our individual teams, so they still know that what they're working on is helping to drive the Wendy's business, and we use that prioritization. I was saying earlier that Steve and I spend an annoying amount of time together prioritizing work, but it makes sure that we're focused and our teams are focused, and they know when they come to work, they're working on the right things.
Well said, yeah. The collaboration and partnership between Wendy's, KPMG, and Oracle, combined with proven processes, strong governance, the Oracle Cloud Platform, and of course your very talented and willing team to embrace the technology and change was really a recipe for success at Wendy's. As we close here, I want to thank you, Mel and Steve, for sharing all of your insights today, and of course our continued partnership in future innovations. All of the speakers today would love to answer any questions that you may have after the session, so please feel free to come up and we can continue the conversation. And also please stop by the KPMG booth in the CW Hub to see how Powered can help you on your own Oracle Cloud transformation journeys. Thank you so much for attending and have a great afternoon.